Hello, my name is Lyn Gardner, and I write about theatre for the stage and for an app called Stage Door. I'm here today to give you a few tips about writing your own reviews. All you are giving is your own personal response to what it is that you saw. I think the very first thing to remember when you're trying to write a review is that you're not taking an exam. There is no right or wrong answer. And I think that's a great thing because it kind of frees you up. It doesn't matter what somebody writing in a newspaper or online thinks about the show. It doesn't matter even what your best friend thinks about the show. The only thing that really matters is your personal response to it and the fact that you've got a precious space in which to write what you and you alone think. Because it's your own personal space to express your taste and your opinion, then I think actually you have responsibility to yourself to use it well. And that means that you need to be honest. If you don't really say what you really thought, then in a sense, you're actually betraying yourself and your taste. So I think that's something that is enormously important. And I think the other thing is not to be too influenced by what other people say or by received wisdom. Everybody goes, "Oh, Hamlet, that's a fantastic play." But it could be that the particular version or production of Hamlet that you've just seen is not a particularly good one and it doesn't serve the play well. So don't be intimidated by that production history. Having the space to write a review, of course, comes with responsibilities. And I think one of the main responsibilities there is about backing up your opinion. It's never enough to just say, "I was bored by this," or enough to say, "I just loved it." You need to tell us why it is that you hated something, why it bored you to death, or why you thought it was so wonderful. And I think that one of the ways to think about a review, which again perhaps makes it a bit easier to write, is to think this isn't the last word. This is the start of a conversation. And to think when you're writing, how if somebody questioned me or spoke to me about this review that I've written, how would I defend and have a conversation about what it is that I said? A really good way in is to ask yourself some questions. And those might be questions around, what is it about? What is the story? Who is in the show? Who are the characters? Which character is it that interests you most? Then I think that there are other aspects that it's really quite important to look at. Think a bit about the design. What is the designer trying to say? Are they helping to tell the story, or might they actually be hindering the telling of the story? You could look at the lighting. How does that affect mood? And then sound is another really good thing to think about. How is the sound being used? Is there underscoring in some way? Is it changing the mood of the show? Then I think other things that it's worth thinking about are around relevancy. What does this show connect to? And also, I would say, maybe what might somebody else make of this? What would my mum think about it, or my gran, or maybe my little sister, or my brother? And I think all those are perhaps ways in to actually starting to put together the building blocks of which will be part of your final review. Something that you may find useful is to get something down on paper or on screen. Your phone is absolutely perfect to do this. As soon as you come out of the theatre, this isn't the moment when you're really sitting down and writing your review. what you're doing is providing yourself with the building blocks that will act as a kind of aid memoir when you actually write your review. So you could write a stream of consciousness, just every adjective that covers the things that the show made you feel, or to cover moments in the show, or maybe actually specialise on particular little moments in the show and what you liked or didn't like about those. Now, this is not the moment to actually worry about whether or not, what you're writing is grammatical, whether it makes any sense. It's simply about something that makes sense to you and that when you write your review, you'll be able to use.